All right, awesome. Well, thank you, Marielle, and pleasure to meet you all. Thank you, everyone, for attending and joining our webinar this evening. Wanted to first introduce myself to you all. My name is Syed. I go by Sai. I am a recruiter here at Memorial Sloan Kettering. I oversee the recruitment for all of our nursing support staffing roles here at MSK. I've been here for a few years. I started a little bit before the pandemic, so I was definitely excited to, host you all here. I am also joined today by my colleague Marielle, who's also part of the team here.
Hi, everyone. Thank you as well for joining us. I'm a talent acquisition specialist as well. I oversee the hiring for all of our perioperative nursing positions. I've been with MSK for a little over 2 years now and absolutely love it. So thrilled again to be with you all this evening and having you join us for this event. We will shortly introduce our panelists who are our MSK heroes joining us this evening that we are happy to both celebrate and hear a little bit more about their stories. So we'll get into that shortly. But before we do so, I just want to explain a little bit about the purpose of this evening's webinar. So again, this is to celebrate our operating room heroes, who two of them we have with us today, as well as one who sent us in a video. But we just want to shed light on their journeys through nursing, as well as how they found themselves in the operating room, as well as their journey to MSK. We also want to spotlight MSK's operating room and what it's like to be an employee with us here.
Awesome. Thank you, Marielle. And then on my end, I wanted to really highlight a big piece as to, what it's really like working here at MSK. You can really feel it within our mission statement through every position, whether administrative, whether it's a service level role, whether it's directly patient facing. Our mission statement is felt all the way throughout, and which is ending cancer for life, which that is really the goal here. And our vision is to be the world's leading authority on cancer. We do have a few of our core values that we really help shape the culture of MSK. And I'll go ahead and read off a few of them, which are really excellent here, which is respect for the individual, excellence through inclusion, integrity with our work, innovation with lasting impact, stewardship, and one MSK are big pieces as to why many want to work at MSK, whether it's a more professional reason, whether it's personal. If you're like myself, it's a little bit of both. What I also like to kind of go in depth with when it comes to, which I think is very interesting, is our MSK logo, which our symbol is made up of three horizontal bars representing our core pillars, whether it is one bar for the patient care, one bar for research, and one bar dedicated to education. Which the three of them are drawn together with an arrow rising in dedication to improving outcomes for all, protected by an oval of focus and unity there.
Thank you, Sai. So now I'd like to turn it over to our panelists, who I will introduce. So again, thank you both, Gail and Freddie, not only to your service to our country, but also to your service in the operating rooms at MSK. We can't thank you enough and can't wait to celebrate you with our upcoming Veterans Day. So to get us started, I'd like to introduce Gail. Gail Simmons is a CN4, and she is working within our main OR, again, as a clinical nurse. And Gail, if you wouldn't mind starting us off with introducing yourself as well and your military branch, and kind of tell us a little bit more about your journey and go from there.
Yes, so my name again is Gail Simmons. I've been with MSK for 10 years. I worked my way up from a clinical nurse 2, which means I came into Memorial with some experience, and I worked my way from a 2 up to a 4. And funny enough, Freddie actually was one of my preceptors when I first came to MSK. So Freddie and I go way back. He was there from the beginning. And we recently went to, I'm spilling all the beans, Freddie. Captain Career Course down in Texas. So it was a lot of fun to have him there outside of MSK and in a different light. My journey at the to the OR. Yes, I started my OR career about 15 years ago, and I kind of ended up in the OR. I applied for a job at another facility. I thought I applied for med-surg, and I got interviewed for the OR, so it was a total accident, but it's been really rewarding ever since. military career. I'm fairly new to the military, um, 5 years in, so I still do drill. I was actually at drill this past weekend, and it's just great to give back, to my country and also at MSK taking care of our patients and each other.
Thank
So
you, Gail. And how did you know, if OR nursing was right for you? And what about MSK and their operating room do you feel makes it a good fit for you and your journey?
okay, so as mentioned, I started the OR as an I would say as an oops, I would call it, but that oops really, it was fun. It was so exciting to learn more about the human body, the anatomy, how we take things together, put things back, take things apart, put things back together, and just learning more about people and their differences, and being able to deal with people under a lot of stress. I didn't think I would be able to do it, but the OR really makes you really strong. I actually tried to leave the OR for 1 year, and I was bored out my mind. I was like, I need to get back in there and just be part of something great. So that's how I ended up coming to MSK, and I went on an interview. At that time, we had a different nurse leader. I think I was interviewed by 5 different people, and I went on vacation, and they called me and said, you got the job. And I was very excited to return to the OR. So it's been great ever since.
Great. And what traits do you think, you know, someone would need to have to be successful as an operating room nurse?
I think attention to detail is always very important. Um, I would say learn not to take things personally, which is something you kind of have to, it takes time, you know. I think the OR teaches you that you're a lot stronger than you think. Um, and it's a different type of nursing. It's not that bedside nursing. You learn a lot about different, it's a equipment, instruments. It's a whole different side of nursing that you don't learn in nursing school. I mean, nursing school, yes, you get some things, but it's just continuous learning every single day.
Great. And
So if you're
then
eager to learn, this is a good place to go.
what made you take the career path into nursing? What was it about nursing that specifically interested you in the first place?
Um, so I also was, my previous career was in business management and finance. But although I was in that realm, I would always take little courses like phlebotomy, and I always took care of my siblings, and I'm still taking care of my grandmother, but I've always had that caring nature. So when I was actually laid off from my position, um, I explored nursing because I just felt like it's where I needed to be. So I went into that, and it's been good. It was tough, but it was good.
Great.
Rewarding.
Very rewarding, very rewarding. It's not a day that I, finish work and say, oh, why did I do that? I always feel good, taking care of the patients, the interactions with my colleagues. It's a good feeling. We have our own little, you say, functional, dysfunctional family. It's really beautiful. It's really beautiful, I must say.
Great. Thank you, Gail. So we'll certainly circle back around for some Q&As later and continue to dive in a bit more, but I'll turn it over to Freddie. So I'd like to introduce Freddie Harrow Zuniga, and I apologize if I did not say that perfectly. But Freddie is a CN2 with us, and he works out of our Monmouth, New Jersey site. So Freddie, I will turn it over to you to do the, similar of introducing yourself, your military background, and your journey to nursing in MSK.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and thank you for celebrating us. Definitely, it's an honor to wear this uniform and to be able to be part of the operating room, not only here at MSK, but also in the Army. I started my journey with Memorial back in 1992 as a surgical tech. Got hired out of the Army. I went right after high school. I went into the Army, regular Army. So I was in the Army Desert Storm, 1988 to 1992. So it was a great journey. One way to get into the operating room as a surgical tech. And when I came out, I knew I wanted to go back. So I stayed as a reservist for a year after I left the regular Army. Fortunately, landed at Memorial, and it was such a blessing because it allowed me the time, the experience to go into nursing. It took me a while to come out as a nurse from the time I reached Memorial, but it's very rewarding. I knew that I wanted to be in the operating room, so my goal was become an OR nurse, become a nurse for the operating room. I saw the great care that we give here at Memorial, and again, some excellent innovation. One is one of the things that we see every day, pretty much. Something new comes out in the operating room. It's never static. You're always coming out. The first, and especially Memorial, is what is the first type of surgery that we do around the world. We've done it here at Memorial, so I've been blessed to be part of that. Being new at things that we do, treading new water, pretty much. 2003, I graduated as a nurse. I joined the reserves again in 2017 because I wanted to go back in. They would not hire me with an associate's, so I went back to school to get a bachelor's. And as soon as I got my bachelor's, I was applying for the Army. It took a year, but again, they allowed me to go back in, and it's been incredibly good because I get to meet and work people. My friend Gail, again, we worked together, we grew up together, and we went to school together, not only with Memorial, but also with the Army. Again, like she was saying, we were down in San Antonio last year doing Captain's Career Course, and I love that about the Army. It's also always trying to grow up, not only in rank, but also courses that we can take. And same thing with Memorial. Gail and I, again, we were in Texas again through Memorial doing AORN. And this is a course that it's every year, of course. We were allowed to go and be part of the innovation that the OR has. Again, one of the things that I love about the OR, it's you always have to be ready. You always have to have knowledge. Always be on your toes because anything can happen. And that's what it's exciting. It's exciting to be part of emergencies. It's exciting to be part of regular cases that may turn the other way. But again, you have the knowledge. We've certainly been given the knowledge here to be ready for emergencies. And that's what I like about the combination of the Army and the OR. In the Army, you always have to be ready, and that's one of the things, the pillars of the Army is be ready or 24/7. Anything can happen. So we're always ready, and same thing in the OR. We're always ready. We're always thinking ahead of what could happen, what could go wrong, be ready, know where it is, or know who knows where it is. That's one key thing, I think, in the Army as well. You create this web of people knowledge, and that's where you rely on knowing who knows what and who can get you out of trouble if you are in trouble.
Thank you.
What I'm taking from that is really just being proactive, I think is really what the key takeaway that I'm getting from.
Absolutely, and loving what you do. I certainly come to work expecting to do great things. I love what I do. There's never a day that I can't pass on my enthusiasm to my patients. I want to make them feel comfortable. They're in a stress state, just like Gail said. You want to make them you have to say, you know what I know, and you have to rely on me and be confident in me because will get you through this.
Yeah, and to add to what Freddie says, the same thing as in the Army, you know who your point persons are. In the OR, it's the same thing. You're not going to know every single surgery, but you're going to know who you can go to. You're going to always have a resource, which is a wonderful thing about working at MSK in the OR. You're never alone. Even though you are assigned to the room as a circulating nurse or a scrub nurse, independently as a peer, there's always a resource. Whether it's your service leads, your threes and fours, your clinical nurses, threes and fours, you have support staff that helps you. You have a charge nurse. You have your management team. There's always someone there who you can bounce ideas off if you're uncertain. And the surgeons. You have your surgeons, your anesthesia personnel. It's really a family when you go into the room. Everyone, their focus is the patient and to make sure everything is done to the best of their ability to take care of that patient and make sure the patient goes through without any adverses. So it's really a beautiful thing. All right.
And one of the things is I left 2017. I left to two other institutions, and I always wanted to convert that institution into I would say MSK North, MSK West, because I knew the struggles that we went through, that I grew up at Memorial. We already had done this, 20 years ago. Meanwhile, some of these institutions were just trying to get
started.
Just of this.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, listen, I've done this. This is how we solve this problem. A couple years ago, you're just trying to get into the innovation, let's say, just on inventory management. It's an incredible thing that Memorial does that, again, we bring innovation, we bring technology, we make money by investing money, and there's some of these institutions don't want to do that, and that's what I really really enjoy as part of Memorial team is one, being part of the innovation, and two, being participant of changes that will take effect.
And really what I picked up from both Freddie and Gail is you both really do love what you do. And you can tell how passionate you are about the career that you chose and being able to take care of those people. And really what I'd like to kind of summarize is what really separates MSK and the OR and across other institutions is that you must really love what you do in order to really be successful here. Just because, it's one thing to be part of patient care and it's another when you're doing it in the realm of oncology, right? Which is, it's not for everybody, and that's okay. But we're really on the same mission of ending cancer for life, and to one day where cancer is no longer a thing. I mean, I think at one point we all know someone that has unfortunately been diagnosed with this cancer. So when you have Freddie and Gail speaking on behalf of their careers here and what it's like being in the OR, and as long as they have, you really get the sense that there is that drive that really. Their mission is to take care of those people, but also being within that oncology field. You really have to love what you do in order to be here that long. And you'll find that across all of MSK.
And I think adding to that is we are so focused on one thing and one thing only, even though there's subspecialties, and that's what helps us. You go out to community hospitals, you go out to other healthcare institutions, their focus is multi-focus. It's not just cancer care, it's your regular gallbladders, it's your regular cardiac, and it's really hard to focus on one thing where we do it so well that it's beautiful to say, I work at Memorial and you can go anywhere in the world, because this is what actually nursing has taken me as well, doing medical missions around the world. And when they know that, when they learn that you work at Memorial, it's like, you're elevated, because it is a world-renowned world. I mean, people want to come here if they get the diagnosis, or that people want to come and do research here because it is one of the great research institutions, as well as patient care and clinical trials as well.
Yeah, and they always like, tell me how they do it at MSK. Tell me how they do. We do, yes, because I've done the medical missions. I've done some, what I would say, per diem work elsewhere. And they're like, you work at MSK? How do they do that? Show me how they drape. What do they do? I can't tell you everything.
Yeah, can't give you all the secrets.
Yeah. In fact, currently I work with the Army. I work at West Point. They have two operating rooms at West Point, and one of the graduates from West Point Academy went to become a surgeon at West Point, and then came on to work at Sloan Kettering as part of the hepatobiliary service. And it's so good to see that one, they remember him not only for his name but for his skills and how good he was and what he contributed as for to the Army and what he was contributing to Memorial as well. So it's great to go back and that connection, that web,
Yeah.
it's there. It's one we if you work in the operating room, it's a small world. You will know people that know people, and that's what I found at West Point is somebody there knew Dr. Allen, and we started off on there. So it was a great conversation starter. Uh, and again, some people here that I are still participating in armed forces where we know that we will meet sometime. And my old boss from West Point, I met at AORN Congress in San Antonio last year. So she had left West Point 2 years ago. And here we are meeting again.
It's awesome. Yeah, well, Freddie and Gail, I really appreciate the introductions and going over everything, and really, as you know, as really illustrative as you did. So I definitely appreciate that. And just to kind of wrap it up with a bow, as far as kind of how me and Marielle we come into this is that, as I said earlier, I do the recruitment for the support roles across for the operating rooms for both New York City as well as the regional locations as well in New Jersey and New York. So I oversee a couple of positions. I oversee the recruitment for our surgical techs, which is right now a really exciting time to really be a part of. Freddie, I'm sure you can attest to it, having started off as a surgical tech, from when you first started your career here at MSK. Right now we went through some changes. We've upgraded our shifts to 12-hour shifts, and right now is a really exciting time to be a part of that. Really positive change. Then of course I do recruit for the central sterile technician positions as well. And really, the big piece, as we alluded to earlier, was a big key for success in those roles is being proactive, not being afraid to get your hands dirty, being involved. A lot of the times, you'll find other stories where those that started working in the OR and got a taste of it and said, I want more, and they started being more involved. Whether it's a logistics associate in the OR, whether it's hands-on as a surgical tech. I can't tell you exactly how many times we have those that work in the OR and you see their success story, right? Where I was part of someone's journey working at MSK, starting off as a surgical tech, and I see down the line, they ended up working as an OR nurse. I mean, no one knows the OR more than that. So I think that's a big piece as to, big success. And Mary, I'll let you go into a little bit further as far as the OR nurses.
Yes. So similar to what Sai was just speaking about, we have some exciting changes in our OR as well. I'm happy to also report that we have transitioned to 12-hour shifts at MSK in our ORs, which I think tends to be a people pleasing thing that we do. We used to do 410s. So, definitely kind of frees up that schedule. And, similar, we do have flex schedules because, as I'm sure Freddie and Gail could attest to, surgeries can vary in time. It's not always so cut and dry. You're going in for one thing, like they both spoke about. Got to be on your toes. Things happen. So we do have flex schedules, but it is obviously during the day and they're 12-hour shifts. And again, I think what makes us unique is similar to what Gail and Freddie have been highlighting. It's just the innovation and, how we are steps ahead of maybe other ORs and just the way that we might view things and the setup, I think, really makes us, different. And I can't stress this enough as a recruiter when I'm speaking to individuals and they are talking to other organizations. I think you have to take in consideration the culture and the environment that you're walking into. Being an OR nurse, you have good days and you have bad days. It's like every profession, but it can be tough. And I think when you're supported by like Gail said, different leadership or, CN4s, or, when you're working in a team oriented, so you have surge techs in the room with you and doctors, it kind of gives you that support to lean on, and that, that you might need to get through the day. And I think MSK does an excellent job of supporting that. So, when I say what makes it special to work in our OR, I think it's just that obviously, 12-hour shifts and people, salary and all that is always a question, but it's also taking into consideration the culture that you're going into and the work that you're doing. It's very rewarding to be an employee here. I'm not on the clinical side, but I can't say enough about just what I feel as an employee in HR, and hearing about the different successes and the different innovations and what our future looks like. We're going to continue to grow, and we have excellent leadership with us. So, to be a member of an organization like MSK, which again is one of the leading organizations for cancer care, is really special. So again, I think when you're looking at the big picture and considering jobs, it's definitely important to take in where you're working. And I think Freddie and Gail and Sai all highlighted why that is. So again, I don't know if Gail and Freddie, you want to add on to anything there as far as being an employee in the OR, but
Yes.
Yes, Freddie. Go ahead, Freddie.
One of the great things, again, coming from an outside institution or going to an outside institution, was having that ladder. The ladder here for both surgical techs and for nurses are different outside of MSK. Especially for OR surgical techs, we have a ladder here, 1 through 3. Outside, it's your surgical tech. You may have a specialty, but that's your specialty. There is no ladder. Same thing, we used to have it for SSAs, 1 through 3. That is not seen outside. Same thing for nursing. The 2 institutions that I was in, either you were a clinical nurse or you were a clinical manager of a service. That didn't give you any more than what you were really doing. So the great thing here is you have a ladder 1 through 4. If you want to do it, it's available. It's again, you put your drive through it, you will climb that ladder. It doesn't. Again, it takes good nurses into that clinical role, into that. You become a charge nurse, you become a lead for your service. So you become the expert at that service. And what Gail and I did before I left, I was the nurse, the leader for the CN3 for neuro and orthopedics, where we were even subspecialized, not only on neuro, but intraoperative MRI. And that's something that at that time, we were the only 2 institutions in the U.S. that had this this technique, this offering to patients with neuroblastomas, with primary brain tumors, and so it was great to see that we were the experts in it. We became the subspecialty of the specialty, and that's something that's so rewarding that. We have a handful of people that can do that, and a handful of institutions around the world too.
Thank you, Freddie.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Freddie and Gail, for speaking there. And so I wanted to go ahead and introduce a video from Melvin McLean, who is a senior director for perioperative services and inpatient nursing logistics. And we do have a short video, though unfortunately he wasn't able to attend today. We're able to kind of walk you through his journey and what it's like working here at MSK.
Thanks, Sai. So I'm going to share that now, so bear with me.
Hi, my name is Melvin McLean. I'm a Senior Director of Logistics in the Department of Nursing here at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York. I first learned of MSK while serving in my Army Reserve unit as a surgical technologist. Fellow soldiers in my unit who were working at MSK at the time often spoke highly about their work experiences at MSK. They spoke about the advanced surgical procedures that were being performed, the available cutting edge technologies, and the collaborative work environment. So a few years later, I had the opportunity to join MSK for what I thought would have been a 3 to 5 year stint that has now evolved into a 22-year career. During that time, I've had the opportunity to work alongside former soldiers from my old Army Reserve unit and colleagues that have served in all branches of the military. That has been an incredible experience. Core values that were instilled during military training, such as teamwork, leadership, mission achievement, are all highly valued here at MSK. So if you are an operating room nurse, a surgical technologist, a CPD technician, and you're looking for a career home, look no further. Come join us here at MSK. We would love to have you on board. Thank you.
Great. Well, I think Melvin just kind of incorporated everything that Gail and Freddie just said as well. So, I think to dive in a little bit more as well, and then go back to, Gail and Freddie and additional questions, is just kind of telling you more about MSK and our operating rooms and our different locations. So obviously we have 3 sites for ORs. So as you see, both Gail and Freddie work at 2 of the 3. So we have our main OR, which performs our minimally invasive surgeries. And then we also have our Josie Robertson Surgery Center, which is a freestanding surgery center performing a wide range of specialties from outpatient and short stay surgeries. And then our Monmouth site is the only regional site outside of New York City. It also has a CBD department. So just a little bit of stats so you can understand the overview of our ORs. We have 44 ORs over the 3 sites. So there's 30 at Maine, 12 at Josie, and we have 2 at Monmouth. We do 30,000 surgeries per year based off of the 3 sites as well. We have 230 RNs between the 3 sites. And I'll leave you with this because it also wraps up with a little bit what we were talking about. I asked our nurse leaders what they felt were qualities that would make a successful OR nurse. And what Melvin, Freddie, and Gail all said, it's being team-oriented, someone who has strong communication, and someone who's going to be dedicated to the work that they're doing. So I think that's, a perfect example of exactly what we were discussing earlier. So Sai, I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, so I think right now we would like to open it up to any types of questions, and either anybody that joined can like to type in any questions as far as that.
So while we open up the questions, maybe what I'll do is also just to go off of some of those statistics is Gail and Freddie, if you can kind of tell us the surgeries that you are overseeing at your sites and kind of what that day will look like prepping for those specific surgeries. Freddie, I'll let you go first.
All right, so Monmouth has, even though we are 2 ORs, we service a lot of specialties here. Yes, our patients will go home by the nightfall, but we do service breast, GYN, GU, colorectal, head and neck, brachytherapy, GI, pulmonary, thoracic, and pain. So these are all specialties that we prep for, and every day there's a dedicated day for all these specialties. So we, like example, today a whole room dedicated to GI, both upper endoscopies and colonoscopies, some specialized procedures which we do mapping and ultrasound guided scopes. We had GYN today as well. Same thing with thoracic with EVAS's Bronx. So you name it, we have it here. Even though we are a small OR, we do all these cases. We do work 10-hour shifts. All the staff here is a 10-hour shift as far as nursing and surgical techs. So we look over tomorrow's cases the day after and make sure that we have all our inventory supplies ready available, because we don't have, unlike the main OR and Josie, which are only blocks apart and they can rely on each other, we are 60 miles from our, I guess Josie will be the nearest OR that we can sort of borrow from if we needed to. But that's why it takes a lot of work for us to operate, because we are freestanding. We're so far away from anything that's OR related.
Thank you. Gail, anything to add to that?
No, just like Freddie said, it's pretty much the same situation. We'll look over the cases the day before, but we at the main OR, we do more, I would say, intense or difficult, longer procedures, because our patients, most of them stay overnight, maybe a day or two. So we'll do bigger cases like the neurosurgery, spine, orthopedics, GYN, colorectal, just longer cases, and cases where the patient would most likely stay overnight. The Josie Center, that same day surgery, so those patients are going home after their procedure.
Great. Thank you both. And we did get a question come in, so this would be a question for me, and it's how long is the training period for new OR nurses? So the training period varies. It varies on your experience. It varies on where you worked previously, if it was an ambulatory center, if it was a different hospital. So to be safe, we like to say anywhere from 1 to 3 months, but our staff and team really does support making sure that everyone that's coming in is supported and is making sure they get the resources needed to be successful before they are obviously released into the role.
Yeah, and I would add a little bit to that also. Usually we do 1 to 3 months for the first service, and then we'll put you in a second service, and that would be maybe another month to 2. But your training could stem up to 9 months before you're 100% let go and be on your own. But if you've done one service for 3 months, the expectation would be, okay, you've signed off on that service. You feel comfortable that if there's a need that you can go back to that service and, do a case. But there's a lot of support.
Yes. Another thing that we offer for new grads or nurses that are not OR trained, Peri-Op 101 program. We've been very successful with that, and I can say the difference between Memorial Peri-Op 101 and outside Peri-Op 101 is a big difference. I've run a Peri-Op 101 in the previous institution. Is definitely, you are very supported here. Absolutely supported. You will go through the training, and it's not just, oh, go ahead and do it. You did one yesterday. Now you can do it today. We need you to be prepared. We need you to be signed off and really knowledgeable. I've taken new graduates under my wing, and today they're CN4. So it's.
I'd be talking a little bit about me, but I would also say that the Peri-Op 101 at Memorial is much more structured, and we do it through the AORN program. I did a Peri-Op 101 before I came to Memorial, and no one understood what it was, but it definitely was not like Memorial. I had an instructor who would just be with me and then put me somewhere else and put me somewhere else. But Memorial OWN is much more structured.
Thank you, Gail. And to piggyback both off of Gail and Freddie, I have obviously been recruiting for the Peri-Op 101 since I started. So I've been roughly doing 2 classes a year, which we tend to do in the fall and the spring. So we just had a class start last month in early October, where we took 16, mostly new grads, but I also want to make it clear that it's also not just new grads. It could certainly be anyone who might have worked in med surg or tele or ICU, ED that just has an interest in the OR. Again, it is very much a hands-on training program. It's both classroom style as well as working with the team. So I am excited to say that we are looking to do another class in the spring of 2024. So if that is any new grads or nurses that maybe don't have the OR experience that are interested in that, happy to speak offline as well into more detail of what that program looks like and what that application process is, and a little more high level overview of it. But again, I think it's something terrific that MSK supports and does, which is allows individuals with no experience as a new grad or someone who's just interested that opportunity to get the hands-on training in order to be successful in that role.
And I think picking back to what the Army offers as far as OR nurses is one of the job titles, nursing job titles or certifications, or that as an OR nurse, that we're very hard. There's not enough of us. There's a shortage of OR nurses around the world, and the Army has recognized that, or the military has recognized that. So it is one of the, and I always recruit for the Army, or at least I'll let you know what the Army offers as far as what OR nursing is. Once you're at least 2 years as an OR nurse with a bachelor's degree, you can always apply to any branch of the service. But the Army does have the best money out there, the best bonuses, annual bonuses and recruitment bonuses. You have, and going piggyback to Memorial, is Memorial has to allow you your time off, but it's also very easy to get the time off with Memorial. It's built into my schedule, at least, where I have to be away for a month because that's what the Army considers me such a value that they'll allow me to only work a month out of the year in order to meet my requirements to stay as a soldier. And Memorial allows me that time. Pretty much anytime you want to go, here's the schedule, look at it. When can you do it? I do consider my fellow coworkers when I choose when I go. And I think, Gail, if you want to speak to your experience with your reserve time, we're very different, even though we're both OR nurses in the reserves. I am part of the IMA team, which is Individual Mobilization Augmentee. And that's why I'm
his time is clustered
in West Point. In West Point. So again, it's something different that you can do with the Army, and Memorial allows you that flexibility as well to be part of the force while you're still providing care outside here. So Gail, please talk on your experience with the Army.
So my requirement for the Army is 1 weekend a month and two weeks out of the year. As I mentioned, I had a 3-day weekend drill, and Memorial allows the time. But what is different at Memorial, where we were talking about the benefits, is the fact that they actually pay you while you're off. A lot of institutions don't do that. They'll give you the time off because yes, they have to, but to actually compensate you for a certain amount of time, 4 weeks to take care of your military duties, obligations, is one of the differences with the benefits that MSK give, which is really, really nice. I would say anytime I need time off to take care of my military duties, I just allow my manager to know. I give them my schedule. They know my schedule, and I have no issues at all. Yeah, I'm trying to get like Freddie, where I just do one month a week, but he got into this special program. But it's good. It's really good.
Thank you both. So we have a couple other questions coming in. Go ahead, Sai.
Yep. So the next question we do have is how long is the training period for surgical techs? I can advise that your first week you would be attending the hospital-wide Department of Nursing orientation. And then following that, you would then start training on the floor where you'd be paired with a preceptor. From my understanding, it's about the first 3 months where you'd be paired more on the morning shifts, but as well as that for training along with the preceptors and such. And then I believe the other question was, I believe for either Gail or Freddie, if you can advise on what has been your most rewarding moment working within the OR
At MSK.
Oh,
25 years. That's as many
so many. Oh man.
years. One of the, I think, my greatest experience, because I love pediatrics so much, and now being at that subspecialty, pediatric orthopedics, is not only are you gaining a patient, but they come back so often that because they need to, as they grow, oncology needs to grow with them. So you become sort of a parent type where you consider them my kids, and you see them often. They're surviving longer, so they need operations and care longer. So that, I think, is most rewarding, that you see patients grow and outlive these cancers. I think the other greatest experience is being part of the neurosurgical team, being so innovative with what we do. And this is part of not only brain, but also spine, where we went from being open from thoracic to lumbar. Now we do minimally invasive and microsurgeries as well, where we're keeping up with the outside institution, but doing oncology at the same time. So it's great to see that not only do we care on the oncology side, but we're also preserving mobility, preserving limbs, preserving function. It's the greatest reward when the patient can talk to you during the operation and they don't lose that speech or that mobility, and they're talking to you while you are operating on them. It's for me, it's the best thing. And when I can create the OR and make it theirs, because we have 60-inch screens on every wall, and I say, what do you want to listen to before you go to sleep? And they tell me tennis match 1986. I can put it on, because and all screens, and the smile that you get from them before they go to sleep is the smile that you get when they wake up.
That's terrific. Thank you, Freddie.
You're welcome. I love it.
Yes, I'm sure. We can tell.
Yeah, Freddie loves it. Absolutely loves it.
Yes.
I tell you.
I am getting another question as well for either Gail or Freddie, and that is, what does the partnership with the physicians look like for the staff in the OR? What's that team environment like?
Well, with anything, you have to build a relationship, all right? So that definitely does take some time. I think one of the big things is your preceptor. If you're coming in new to the OR, your preceptor introducing you and just being there and letting the surgeon know, like, okay, this person, yes, they're training, but it's going to be okay, because no one want to have a surgery or be in a difficult situation where they can't stop a bleeder. Things can get hectic, right? But they're stressed, but it's not what you would say, I don't know, is it toxic or hazardous? Um, Freddie, do you want to add a little bit? But
yes.
I think, yeah, it's a difficult thing. But with anyone new who you meet, it takes a time to build a relationship. But I have some really great surgeons that inside or outside the OR, anything I ask them to help me, if you want to learn in the OR, you show interest, they will teach you everything. you know? So it also depends on you. What are you going in there as? Are you standing offish, or you're like, okay, let me get involved. Let me learn something. Can you tell me a little bit about this, you know? So it all depends on you as well. So, but
it's
they're great. They will teach you everything you want to know.
it's what you bring to the table as well, what you want to learn and what do you want to get out of each day, each case, each person that you meet. We have very strong personalities. We both nurses, techs, the whole staff, pretty much. You'll. I don't think I've ever run into an OR that doesn't have a personality. So learning how to deal with those personalities, uh, we do create I think, a collaborative team. We do create teams that are specific for, let's say, neurosurgery. You have a team that's built around it that you, most of the time, you'll be working with that team. So you become the expert, and you become not only expert at neurosurgery, but the expert at this surgeon, because again, you learn their nuances and how they do things. And I think also not being afraid to suggest, this is what I encountered with this other surgeon. Do you think you can do it this way, or what do you think we can do it better? I think from my experience, a lot of surgeons have taken respect into that, where now I introduce them to certain items, certain techniques, because you have the knowledge. What you bring to the table and how you present it as well is how your team will be built, and that's not only at Memorial but Army wide. I think again, being around the Army for over 30 years has given me that edge of what do you present, what is in your toolbox. I think even if you're new, you will come out with the freshest information out of school, because you are the one that just went through the textbooks. We're relying on information that, I don't know. And the beauty of the OR, and I'm sorry that I'm taking too long, is that you have people from that are doing jobs that are high school or maybe less, to PhDs, MDs that have triple, quadruple degrees, so super educated. And that's what makes the beauty of the OR, is you have all these experiences and multi-factors that you have to come together for that one person that's on the table. And education, sometimes you're what do you learn outside, not only on an educational institution, but even your streets will teach you sometimes what you can do in the OR. It's always being on your toes, listening, paying attention to what's going on. You have to gain the respect of the team, not only the surgeon, the anesthesiologist, because again, from my time, you learn a lot about nursing, but you also have to learn a little bit about surgery, anesthesia, what tools they use, how they use them, when they use them. So it's a little bit of everything that you have to come prepared to the table every day for every patient.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Freddie, for that really awesome answer, and Gail as well. We are coming to the end of the webinar there, so I did just want to advise, if there's any final questions, feel free to go ahead and write them into this chat there. And if we don't have any other questions, we do have the contact information for all that did attend today. So we'll be sending out a follow-up email following this webinar, just to touch base offline and connect further if there's any other questions, any concerns you want to follow up regarding an application and going through the next steps of the process there.
And to go further off that, I just want to thank everyone for spending your evening with us and taking the time to both celebrate Freddie, Gail, Melvin, and the rest of our MSK OR heroes. And, as we go into celebrating Veterans Day, I just, again, want to thank anyone on the call who served our country. Again, we appreciate it. And, we hope that you were able to take something away from today's webinar. And certainly, like Sai said, we look forward to connecting with you after today, and hopefully you joining the MSK OR family.
Yes, definitely shout out to Gail and Freddie for attending today and speaking on your experiences.
We appreciate you both. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Wonderful. Well, everyone have a lovely evening and enjoy.
Thank you. Be
All
well.
right, have a great night.
Bye now.
Captain Gill.
Yeah, yes.